I'm Kat and I play Raid. Pre-Christmas on my Instagram and Facebook, we were talking about some older games that don't get the love they deserve. So once a month I'm going to try and look at something a bit older that may have gone under people's radar or people have forgotten about, or something, just some older games that don't get the love they very much need. So to start that off, we are having a look at Dokmus. Now Dokmus was a 2017 release designed by Mikko Panicalio. I think the European distribution was Lautapelit. Renegade also did it. Let's have a look at how it plays. As your tribe's most experienced warrior, you've been selected to lead an expedition to the lost island of Dokmus. However, other tribes have also sent their people. The island is protected by the Guardians of Dokmus, who will also grant assistance if you ask them nicely. Choose your favours wisely to bring glory to your tribe and win the game. The island setup varies depending on the number of players. We're set up here for a 3 or 4 player game. There's a different smaller setup for 2 players. Make sure you leave a gap in the middle, and also make sure you leave a gap between tiles because they are going to be moving around. Each player starts with 25 tokens of their colour. After placing your starter, you're going to be left with 24. Each round you're going to place 3, so the game is played over 8 turns, and you don't need a timer or anything because you're going to run out of pieces. So choose a starting player, and in reverse turn order everyone is going to place a starting token. These must go on one of the 4 corner tiles, and they must be on a meadow or forest space on the edge. So we can't place here because technically that's next to that tile, so it's got to be on these edges. So obviously the ones with the trees are the forests and the green ones are the meadows. So I'm going to pick some random spaces. I'm going to go there, and there's method in my madness. When you're placing, you can't place on a tile someone else has already gone on. So in this case, blue has to go on this tile, which isn't particularly great for them, but let's go that there. So once everyone's placed, you're going to give the starting player the talisman token and the 5 guardian tiles. As I said earlier, the game is played over 8 rounds, and each round has 3 phases. Guardian card selection, player actions, and then the end of round kind of clean up. So the starting player is going to choose a guardian for the turn and pass the rest in a draft style. So I'm going to take one, pass them, etc. Whichever ones, if we were playing 4 players here, there'd be 1 left over. That goes to the side face down so no one knows what hasn't been chosen. Players will then take turns in the order determined by the Guardians. So this number up in the top corner. So whoever has number 1 will go first. If no one's got number 1, then number 2, and so on. Each turn you will place 3 tokens, but you can use your Guardian action before, after, or even in the middle of your placements. And while you must always place 3 tokens, your Guardian action is optional. At the end of the round, the player who took number 1 for the round will take the talisman token all 5 Guardian cards, and they'll be the starting player for the next round. So let's have a look at the tiles that you're going to be placing on and see what you might want to achieve. So the meadows we mentioned earlier, that's these plain green ones. They have absolutely no effect. Boring. The mountains here, you can't place on those, so these essentially act as a block for you to sort of move around the board. Now we've got the small and the large temples here. Now you cannot place on a temple. You can only ever place adjacent to it, and those will give you points at the end of the game. Volcanoes, we've got a few of. We've got one here and one here. Now, if I put my piece on a volcano, at the end of the turn, it's going to explode because the volcano erupts. At which point, I have to sacrifice that piece and it goes onto the sacrificial part of the points board, which we'll come on to in a bit. Now, entering water or dark forests are pretty scary. So you're going to have to sacrifice one of your 3 tokens for the turn to go on those. So let's have a quick look. When I place, I must be adjacent to where I already am. So if I was here, let's say, to go into the forest here, I have to sacrifice a piece. So I put a piece over there, and then I can go into that forest. Now, from that point onwards, I can place pieces there because I'm already in there. But initially, you need that sacrifice. The same applies to water. So to go through water, let's pop a piece here. I would again have to sacrifice a piece, and then I'm going to kind of row through the water, and I'm going to land on that ruins, which very handily takes me to talking about ruins. So ruins, you're actually going to place on them at the end of the game. They'll give you a point, and as you place on them, you get a bonus Guardian action. So let's have a look at the Guardian actions and see what they do and how it all works. So, number 1, they've all got special names. I can't pronounce them, let alone remember them. So we're just going to call them number 1. So number 1 gives you the talisman token and you get to go first. That's it, nothing fancy, simple. Number 2 allows you to move a tile. Now you can move a tile vertically or horizontally. There's also a wraparound element. So if I wanted to move this tile, I could move it to there. And the same would apply on the columns. So you can kind of jump over tiles, but you're not really, you're just moving them. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to push a token. Now, there's several reasons for doing this. I actually really like this action. So let's say I'd finished my turn and I had a dude on this volcano. So he's going to die. So I can use the push action to push him off there. Now, we can't go to these spaces because they're mountains. We can't go onto the temple, but I can push and I'd actually jump to the other side of that temple. In the reverse way, I can't go on here, but I could push here into the forest, and the bonus of that is I don't have to sacrifice a piece. So that's rather nice. You can also push onto other tiles, which can be super handy. So that's number 3, that's our push action. You can't push into water, you just Otherwise you're just throwing someone into the lake. It's a bit brutal, really. Number 4 is to rotate a tile 90 degrees. So it might be I want to go, oops, that way. Or I could go, oops, the other way. Yay. So this is what I said about leaving room between the tiles, because there's going to be quite a lot of movement through the course of the game. So number 4 allows you to rotate. And number 5, because you're going last, you actually get a choice of the 3 actions. So you can move a tile, rotate a tile, or push a token. So number 5 is rather nice, but you are going to be last in the round, and goodness knows what is going to have happened to this board over the turn. So let's have a quick look, that was there, at what I might want to do this turn. So 1, 2, 3. I actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that one, and then these would pass on and the other players would pick them. But let's just have a look at my action. So I took number 4, which is to rotate a tile. I'm going to take my 3 tokens to place. So do you remember me saying you can't place on temples? But I can go there. That would be 1. That would be 2 actions. And I'd get a bonus for placing on the temple. What I'm going to do is rotate that. I then get my special action for placing on the ruins, sorry, not temple. I'm going to push this guy onto there and then place my 3rd token there. So I'm now next to both of these small temples, as well as getting 1 point at the end of the game for being on the ruins. So you can see how easily you can travel across the boards. If I was to, in a later turn, pop that up there, I can then move onto that board, rotate that, I can get onto that board. And it is important to try and get on as many boards as you can. So I'm quite partial to a Guardian number 5 because everyone's done their stuff, you know what's going on with the board, and it then gives you options, and we like options. So I'm going to take number 5. Now I can jump across the water here. Now because these waterways are actually joined, I'm going to jump in the water and my guy drowns. I'm going to put a guy there at the end of that waterway. Now again, I can't place on the temple, but I kind of can place adjacent, so that would allow me to place on the ruins there, which means not only do I have this action, but I then have another special action from there. So I think one of my special actions is going to be a push to get onto that map tile. And then, do you know what? I am going to rotate this one to try and get onto that tile and get to the temples. So you can see how crazy this board can get. It's going to constantly move, constantly change, especially with 4 players. So you really need to kind of keep on top of what's going on. You're going to have 8 turns, 3 tokens a turn. So once you run out of tokens, you're going to move on to endgame scoring. Now there is a handy little cheat card here that tells you a little bit about all the terrain types, and then it's got the Guardian actions and endgame scoring on. So, but let's have a look at them ourselves. So, any ruins you're on here will give you 1 point. The small temples, the red ones, will give you 2 points if you're next to them. The yellow ones will give you 3 points. Now, I've got 2 guys next to that, but I still only score it once, so that would be worth 3 points. If you managed to discover all the temples on one map, so let's say I mean, this would be impossible, but, you know, let's just pretend. If I discovered all the temples on one map tile, like I have here, I'd get an extra 8 points. You're then going to get points depending on the number of tiles you discovered temples on. So I discovered a temple here, here, and here. So only 3. There's a little chart here. So 3 would be 6 points. However, if I'd managed to discover a temple on all 8 tiles, that would be worth 27 points, which is huge. And then the last thing you're going to score is the sacrificed tokens. So the player with the most is in a 4-player game is going to get 5 points. Second place will get 3, third 1, last 0. So your sacrifice tokens are worth something. So add all of them up and the player with the most wins. Dokmus is almost Kingdom Builder without the luck. We used to really enjoy Kingdom Builder, and then we had one game where our friend managed to pull every single card he needed, and the rest of us were all struggling, and it was just horrible. Whereas there's no luck element with this, so that's nice. It plays really quickly. I think the playtime 20 to 40 minutes is what it says on the box. It's 8 turns, so you know exactly what's going on. It's definitely one of those where you get to about turn 4 or 5 and you go, oh, I want to do all of this and I only have 3 turns left. So it's pretty fast paced. It's quick moving because you place 3, done. So we really enjoy this. I think it went under a lot of people's radar. I know initially it went under ours. We actually had a friend. This isn't the first edition. He picked up the first edition and we enjoyed it enough to find it and buy it. The box size is really nice. Look, it's really dinky, so it slots in perfect. 2 to 4 players, 20 to 40 minutes, 8 turns, bang, done. There's also an expansion for it, which we've got in here, that adds another guardian tile. It adds roads, it adds 4 new tiles. The other nice thing with these is they are reversible. So you've got a ton of different options. You're not going to see the same map twice, which we like. So that is a Dokmus. I think it's around still. Renegade for US. What is it? Lautapelit. I think European. It's language independent. It comes with a ton, the little player aid that I showed you. This version's got about 4 of them in different languages. So it's really nice from that point of view. Check it out now. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, click like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Tell a friend. Come and say hello on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I play Red. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.